Now we were there, and I was in Hawaii from June when I landed there until the following February.
So that was about 6, 7 months.
Then we were told we were starting to get ready to be shipped out.
But they didn't tell you where you were going to be shipped to.
They didn't tell us where we were going to be shipped. However, we had a pretty good idea once we got on the boat because the Marines had already taken Saipan and Tinian and Guam. So there was only one place left that we knew we were going to go. And that was going to be Iwo Jima.
You knew about Iwo Jima? You knew what it was?
We heard the radio reports.
Right.
The radio reports on the way. First of all, we had to wait. The convoys, we were not, don't forget, we were a radar outfit. We were not the...
You were support troops. You weren't combat troops.
And we were delayed because, first of all, according to the schedule, the Marines were supposed to take that place.
72 hours.
And weeks they were still fighting. So what we had to do is first we pulled into Eniwetok Atoll.
Right.
And we stayed in that atoll for a week. And then we pulled into...
You were still on the ship?
On the ship.
Right.
On the ship. And then the ship left again. It's a funny thing, every time that ship started out, I got seasick for one day. And then we went again for another week, and we stopped outside of Saipan.
Right.
The Marines were still fighting. And then one day...
Were you getting information about what was going on in Iwo Jima?
We were getting the reports.
Oh.
We were getting the reports. And... one day we heard the report, Old Glory is flying on Mount Suribachi. And, okay, so now we start to pull in, and one morning we pull in outside the waters, and we're able to look out at Iwo Jima, and we're able to see that there's still a war going on there. The Marines are up at the north end of the island, and they're flushing out the caves with the flamethrowers. Okay, that was that day. And that evening...
You're seeing this from the ship?
Well, we could see it from the ship. We could watch it from the ship, because we were just offshore.
Right.
Then they pull in, then they tell us we're going to get off. So that night, alongside of our ship, comes these LSTs, the landing ship. So we climbed down the rope,
yeah, I've seen them.
We climbed down onto the LSTs, and now it is completely dark. And the landing ship pulls up to the shore, and the front, never forgot this, the front of the landing ship opens out to let us out. And I was waiting to make sure that my feet were not going to get wet when I was waiting for the water to recede when I jumped out. Well, it's now dark. We pull up a little bit, and the captain says, okay, this is as far as we're going. Now, this is all volcanic ash. And we're told to dig in. Tonight, dig foxholes, and you're going to spend the night in the foxhole. Okay. So I do that. And I fall asleep. And the next morning, I wake up, and right next to me, there's a war going on. What's the war going on? There's 6 Marines with a mortar, with a big mortar, with a big camouflage gun, and they're shooting this mortar right alongside of me up to the north end of the island. So they had the south end of the island.
That's where the south end is where the mountain Suribachi was.
Okay. Now the Marines were still fighting up at the north end of the mountain. Okay.
Let's talk. This island is about, what, half the size of Central Park?
Just about.
Yeah.
That's about 6 miles. How many miles is Central Park?
I'm not sure it's 6 miles, but...
Top to bottom. Well...
pretty small island.
Small island, okay. Now, our outfit is moved the next day down to our permanent headquarters, And we are now situated right at the bottom of the base of Mount Suribachi. That is where we're going to be. And that's where we stayed all the time we were there. Okay. Now,
You told me once that you ran into your cousin who was a Marine.
I was about to tell you this story. Okay. We weren't allowed to tell us where we were. Okay. We sent away letters with APO numbers. People.
Right.
Okay. So I get a letter from your mother telling me one day that Irving is with the 5th Marine Division on Iwo Jima. So I write back to your mother, you know something, I think tomorrow morning I'm going to go up and visit Irving. That's what I put in the letter. I mean, what can I do? They didn't know who Irving is. They didn't know where he was.
So that she knew where you were.
She knew where I was, okay. So I did decide to go up. One day I had a day that I didn't have to do anything, and they were still fighting up there. And I get on a truck, and the guy takes me up to the headquarters of the 5th Marine Division. I go in to the headquarters and I tell him, listen, I got a cousin with, so he looks up Irving's name. Oh, he says, he's up there, up on the front line. You want to go up and see him? I said, you know, you know something? I don't think so. Maybe can I send him a message? Can I send him a message and I'm here? So yeah, okay. So what they did is I waited there in the headquarters, and he came back, and man, did he look like a rugged Marine. But
How old was he, Dad? He was younger than you, wasn't he?
He was younger than me. He was a young man. And he was so hopped up, all full of dirt and grime, and he said to me, oh my God, he said to me, you should see the fucking Japs up there, the millions of log places. He was really, really hopped up. So I had a nice visit with him, and then I came back to my outfit, and that was all the visiting that I wanted to do. I spent, okay, now, we stayed on Iwo Jima through the summer. Now I was with headquarters company. We had company A and B and C and D. But one of our companies did not come with us. They sent one of our companies, Company B, they sent to Okinawa. They never came all the way with us, so we only had company. I was with headquarters company.
What did you do? I mean, you were a radar technician, right?
I was not a radar technician. I was a radio operator.
Radio operator.
Okay. I never got to operate a radio. I was a grunt. I did a lot of details. Eventually, I wound up on the switchboard, on the battalion switchboard. And
that's not a bad job.
No, it wasn't a bad job. And that is how I spent my time. Now, when it came to the summer was over, and it came to August, and we started hearing reports. And oh, I know what happened. We got one guy came up from Saipan, and he said to us, the war is going to be over in 10 days. We thought the guy was crazy. He said the war is going to be, he knew it was going to happen. He knew that they were going to drop the bomb. They all knew it. Okay. And then eventually we heard that they dropped the bomb. And after they dropped the bomb, there were arguments about the emperor. They wanted to keep the emperor. They didn't want to keep the emperor.
They hadn't surrendered yet.
No, they hadn't surrendered yet. So then eventually we said, okay, you want to keep the emperor, you can keep the emperor, just surrendered. So then they surrendered. So we were very happy, and then the war was over.